Hey, what's up guys? Smith, the Vinyl Freak, coming back at you with another video. Today, we're gonna be looking at a discography by one of my favorite artists of all time. It is, of course, the legendary Jimi Hendrix. We're gonna be going through his 3 studio records and a live record that he released during his lifetime before his untimely death. And Jimi Hendrix, I mean, seen by many as the greatest electric guitarist of all time, made some of the most influential and greatest rock records of all time. And we're gonna be going through them, and we're gonna be going through my vinyl collection too of all the Jimi Hendrix albums that I have, which are condensed into these 4 albums. I have a couple different variations of pressings, so we're gonna go through those. But yeah, let's get into it. First record, 1967. Jimi Hendrix and the Experience debut, Are You Experienced? This is one of the most groundbreaking rock records ever made for its time, 1967. Man, some of the most insane, incredible guitar work you will ever hear on a mainstream rock record. Hendrix just doing all types of stuff that had never been heard before. Experimenting a lot with guitar pedal effects and distorted guitar solos and psychedelic production, just doing some incredible stuff. And the songs on here are amazing too. Obviously, not to discount the other 2 members, the Experience is made up of Hendrix, drummer Mitch Mitchell, and bassist Noel Redding. All incredible musicians. Great rhythm section with Mitch and Noel. But yeah, man, Hendrix is really the star here, like he is on every record. Just incredible stuff. Purple Haze, classic. Hey Joe, classic. May This Be Love, one of my favorite Hendrix songs. Very pretty psychedelic and like ballad-esque, with a really nice, watery, ethereal guitar solo. Hendrix was really good when he did ballads. He just didn't do them that often. Foxy Lady is, of course, one of my favorite Hendrix songs of all time, probably my favorite on here. And closing track, Are You Experienced, is great as well. And I mean, this entire record is amazing. I would give this record a 9.0 out of 10. It's a classic, and anyone who's trying to get into psych rock, this is one of the essentials. One of the defining records of the American psych rock revolution of the late 60s. So, Are You Experienced? Amazing record. I have a UK pressing of this record as well on vinyl. Picked this up a couple years ago. So at the time, if you don't know, there were UK pressings and American pressings, and there were different, variations of the track list and what tracks were put on it. I actually like the American cover better. I think it's a little cooler, but this one's pretty badass as well, with Hendrix kind of putting the jacket over his bandmates. Hendrix always looked really freaking cool on his album covers. But yeah, this is cool. UK pressing's got a few extra songs on it. Third Stone from the Sun, Red House, which is one of the reasons I picked this up, because I love that song. Stone Free, 51st Anniversary, Highway Child. So a couple extra tracks on here. I think I do prefer the cohesiveness of the American version, but I was still really happy to get this, and it's really cool to have both pressings. So, Are You Experienced? Amazing record. Gotta check it out. Coming up next, we have Hendrix's second studio record with the Experience. Same year, 1967, Axis Bold as Love. This record is a little bit more experimental than Are You Experienced, but that's not really saying, that's saying a lot, because his first record was pretty experimental for the time. This one takes it even farther, but it's still rooted in that heavy, bluesy psych rock sound. Very psychedelic, very just a weird, trippy record. But it's great. Look, every record that Hendrix released during his lifetime was great. He never missed. And more reason of why it's so sad that, he died at such a young age. But some amazing songs on here, man. Freaking Spanish Castle Magic, one of the grooviest Hendrix songs ever. Super heavy too. Really cool lyrics too, just about like war and cotton candy skies, like just classic Hendrix lyrics. Very fantastical. Little Wing, of course, one of the greatest Jimi Hendrix songs ever. One of the greatest psych rock songs of all time. Just some amazing guitar work on that song. Super short, but it's just perfect. It's just an amazing song. Castles Made of Sand is another classic. One of my favorite Hendrix songs. One Rainy Wish is another really pretty ballad of his. With some amazing guitar work. And Ain't No Telling is another cool song, actually sung by Noel Redding. Yeah, just a really cool record, very cohesive, very cool record to listen to from start to finish. A really good one to have on vinyl. And yeah, I would give this record an 8.5. I mean, it's great. It's amazing. I wouldn't say it's as good as the debut, but still, great record. And yeah, Axis Bowl Love, 1967, second Hendrix record. Moving on, time to get to my favorite Jimi Hendrix record, the double LP 1968 Electric Ladyland. Yeah, one of my favorite rock records of all time, dude. I'm biased towards double records. I think that they allow the artist to experiment a little more and do stuff that they normally wouldn't do on a single LP. And Hendrix does that on this record, and it's amazing. It's just incredible. He's just amping everything up. More pedal effects, more distortion, more feedback. So much like that feedback on Voodoo Child, Slight Return is just unreal. The murky and muddy production really gives this album that trippy sound. I mean, Hendrix is just a beast on this record, dude. He's just an absolute beast. Just some of the just grossest guitar solos you will ever hear in your life. Specifically on track 4, Voodoo Child, not the Slight Return, but the long extended jam. Just doing everything, man. Blues, psych, prog, proto-metal, hard rock, like really setting the stage for a lot of rock that would come in the 70s with bands like Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, and just ahead of the curve. And just some amazing songs on here, man. Crosstown Traffic is incredible. Again, Voodoo Child, the jam is amazing. Burning in the Midnight Lamp has a really cool guitar riff. It's just amazing. It's definitely his most cohesive album, in my opinion. Like, listening to this thing from start to finish, it just feels like one long song. Like, it's just one long psychedelic, progressive song. And another one I want to highlight is 1983, which is really proto-prog, like progressive rock that you would hear in the early 70s with bands like Yes and Genesis and King Crimson. Like, Hendrix, again, ahead of the curve on that. Yeah, just a super trippy psychedelic record. One of my, again, favorite albums of all time. Favorite Hendrix record. I would give this a 9.5. It's incredible. And of course, the closing 2 tracks, All Along the Watchtower, most famous Hendrix song, the Bob Dylan cover. Hendrix completely makes it his own. And then, of course, the closing track, Voodoo Child Slight Return, which is just one of the most badass rock songs of all time. Yeah, just an absolute masterpiece and a great record. I also have the alternate cover for Electric Ladyland that was not used because there's like 30 naked women on the cover. I found this in a record shop in Charleston, and I just couldn't not get it because it's so rare. I've never seen it before other than before or since. Hendrix wanted to make this a cover, but the record label wouldn't let him, obviously. Very vulgar. And so Hendrix released the other cover, which I actually really like the other album cover. But, I mean, come on. This is insane. Absolutely insane. I had to pick it up. Really glad I did. Pretty cool gatefold, too. Hendrix and 2 band members. Yeah, so pretty cool find. Might get censored, but yeah, just an amazing record. And more proof of Hendrix just being the genius that he was. Last but not least, Band of Gypsies. Live record. final Jimi Hendrix record to be released before his untimely death. And yeah, this record actually is a new band. The Experience broke up, and on this record is Buddy Miles and Billy Cobb, Billy Cox, who were more in the jazz funk scene, not as much in the heavy psych rock scene. And you could tell because Hendrix takes a different direction on this record. And I love this album. This album is incredible. Hendrix doing a lot of like jazz rock, fusion, funk rock, bluesy, like blues funk, like a lot of different stuff that he wasn't doing on his studio records. And I think that this record is really a precursor to what he would have been doing if he had lived through the 70s, which is really interesting to hear. You gotta check this record out. If anyone's trying to get into Hendrix, this album is amazing. Opening track, Who Knows, has one of the funkiest bass grooves of any Hendrix song, that boom, 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 boom. And then Hendrix doing improvisation over it with his guitar. It just sounds so good. And Machine Gun, track 2, is one of the greatest Hendrix songs ever. A freaking just 12-minute, just epic jam. A sort of a Vietnam protest song, and just some of the most insane guitar work you'll hear ever on any song. Yeah, Band of Gypsies gets overlooked. This album is amazing. One of my favorite live records of all time. Recorded at Fillmore East on New Year's Eve, 1970. And an absolutely essential record for anyone trying to get into Jimi Hendrix. So that is my collection. That is the Jimi Hendrix album deep dive, discography deep dive. And like this video if you liked it, comment if you want. And yeah, thanks for joining me. I hope that you either continue or start listening to Jimi Hendrix because of this video. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.